Bună dimineața! Bine ați venit la Mind Over Matter. Eu sunt Amina Lolev, sunt arhitect și cofondator al nod Makerspace, respectiv acest loc din fosta industria bumbacului, un centru pentru industrii creative. Și inițiator al Bibliotecii de materiale, respectiv spațiul în care ne aflăm. Deci suntem astăzi în acest spațiu, care nu e doar o sală, ci este un instrument de lucru pentru noi. Un loc unde materialele pot fi văzute, atinse, pot fi testate, pot fi puse la lucru pentru cercetare, design, industrie și politici publice. Și ca să ne cunoaștem mai bine foarte scurt și să înțelegem de unde plecăm cu toții, vă invit să intrați acum pe menti.com. E vorba de trei întrebări, o să vă adresez 3 întrebări rapide, nu există răspunsuri corecte sau greșite. Dacă ați reușit, da. Prima întrebare este de context. Știați de existența bibliotecii de materiale înainte de astăzi? Pe noi ne ajută să înțelegem cât de matur este acest tip de infrastructură în ecosistemele din care veniți. Da, eu am răspunsurile dumneavoastră, 10 dintre voi ați răspuns, am interacționat cu ea, 4 o cunosc la nivel conceptual, 2 am auzit, dar nu am utilizat-o și 14 este prima dată când aud. Următoarea întrebare este despre rolul strategic al unei biblioteci de materiale într-un ecosistem de bioeconomie. Respectiv, întrebarea sună așa: în viziunea dumneavoastră, care este rolul strategic al unei biblioteci de materiale? Și aici puteți bifa mai multe răspunsuri. De exemplu, transfer de cunoaștere între cercetare, industrie și design, testare, validare și prototipare de materiale emergente, suport pentru politici publice, standardizare și reglementare, educație avansată și formare interdisciplinară sau platformă de colaborare și inovare deschisă. Este interesant că aceste roluri nu se exclud și vă mulțumesc mult pentru răspuns. Cea de-a treia întrebare este legată de utilitatea practică a bibliotecii pentru activitatea dumneavoastră, pentru activitatea proprie. Poți să dai mai departe, te rog? Din perspectiva activității dumneavoastră, cum ar putea fi cel mai utilă o bibliotecă de materiale? Iarăși puteți răspunde puteți bifa mai multe răspunsuri. Și răspunsurile dumneavoastră ne arată unde să investim de fapt energie și resurse. Avem așa: acces la materiale și date pentru cercetare aplicată, avem sprijin în dezvoltarea de produse și procese industriale, fundament pentru decizii strategice și politici publice, instrument educațional pentru studenți și profesioniști. În realitate, până acum asta a fost biblioteca și, nu în ultimul rând, spațiu de întâlnire între actori din domenii diferite. Și vă mulțumesc mult pentru răspuns. Iar ultima întrebare este legată de așteptările dumneavoastră pentru conferința de astăzi. Tot așa, puteți bifa mai multe răspunsuri și există, și, bineînțeles, și alte așteptări la sfârșit. 20 de secunde mai petrecem aici. Cei mai mulți dintre voi ați bifat inspirație și exemple concrete, dar și informație și context strategic, networking și colaborări pe locul 3, claritate pentru proiecte proprii și văd acum, nu în ultimul rând, direcții pentru politici publice sau industrie și alte așteptări. Dacă este cineva care vrea să zică ce alte așteptări are, e foarte fain pentru început. Este cineva care vrea să zică? Nu? Bine, mulțumim. Noi vom folosi aceste răspunsuri în dezvoltarea următoarelor etape ale bibliotecii și eu mă voi opri aici. Să aveți o zi productivă și voi lăsa pe domnul Teodor Frolu să ia cuvântul.
Da, mulțumesc frumos. Teodor Frolu, și nu întâmplător, sunt arhitect și eu, de mai mulți arhitecți aici pe metru pătrat în nod Makerspace. Eu vroiam să vă pun un pic așa în temă. Clusterul Caneparo a apărut ca inițiativă acum vreo 10 ani. El s-a formalizat acum 4 ani de zile și Vorbim de cânepă industrială, pentru că există o mare confuzie. Când zici cânepă, toată lumea amestecă lucrurile. Vorbim de cânepa industrială, de fapt de cânepa tradițională, dacă vreți, fibra românească alături de lână care a construit întreaga, să zic așa, întregul patrimoniu de artă textilă și îi mulțumesc Floricăi Zaharia și lui Romulus că sunt și ei prezenți de la Muzeul Textil din Băița, de care probabil ați auzit. Puiu Ioan, care este vicepreședinte, profesor la Universitatea din Iași și fondator alături de noi al acestui cluster și un specialist, și nu numai un specialist, și un practicant cultivator de cânepă. Și aș fi vrut că totuși nu suntem foarte mulți. Aș fi vrut să ne cunoaștem un pic, că, mă rog, pe unii dintre noastre vă cunosc, pe alții nu, și aș vrea să facem lucrul ăsta foarte, foarte rapid, fără microfon. Cine este doar din curiozitate și nu reprezintă, eu știu, o instituție sau o entitate care e implicată în cânepă, spuneți doar că sunteți interesați de subiect. Ceilalți care reprezentați sau aveți o relație cu industria cânepii industriale, foarte scurt, dacă se poate. Și am să încep eu de aici, te rog, repede.
Bună ziua, numele meu este Nona Rotariu, am o firmă de construcții și doresc să folosesc și cânepă pentru a face case pasive. Mulțumesc.
Cristian, interesat de subiect.
Amza, la fel, interesat. Gabrielene, construiesc case naturale cu materiale clay straw și hemp-grid.
Florica Zaharia, Muzeul Textilelor, cercetăm cânepă de ani de zile pentru fibră și tehnologia tradițională.
Romulus, tot de la Muzeul Textilelor.
Bună ziua, Paul Marinescu, freelancer, administrație publică. Am venit din curiozitate și în perspectiva posibilității de a implica comunități locale din zone rurale sau din orașe mici în acest proiect.
Plus unul interesat de subiect.
Bună ziua, Tudor Fărăgău din Cluj, reprezint compania AgroInfinities, companie de cercetare aplicată în materiale noi și în Cluj-Napoca vom dezvolta o fabrică de biomateriale din cânepă.
Mândrea Lucian, reprezint clinica privată Quantum Therapy, unde am testat ulei de cânepă, Hemp-Based. Am făcut măsurători cu un aparat BioWell inițiale ca să reflecte starea de sănătate. Am consumat uleiul de cânepă respectiv și m-am măsurat după aceea. Și am fost curios să văd ce prezentați voi astăzi.
Da,
dacă are
mulțumim.
cumva legătură.
Mulțumim.
George, interesat de subiect.
Bună ziua, Veronica Radu, sunt angajată al Ministerului Mediului pe un proiect privind reducerea și prevenirea poluării din surse agricole și am venit aici pentru că sunt interesată de subiect și poate să preiau idei de la dumneavoastră. Mulțumesc!
Bună ziua, Clara Chicet, arhitect. Am venit fiindcă sunt interesată de subiect.
Andreea Sârbu, sunt interesată de subiect.
Grigore Mitrea, interesată de subiect.
Marina Gingirov, sunt arhitect și am folosit Hemp-Grid în proiectele mele și sunt interesată de subiect.
Bună ziua, Elena Samoilă, sunt interesată de subiect.
Bună ziua, Dumitru Mihaela, de la Facultatea de Biologie în scop didactic, educativ.
Predan Gențiana, mă numesc, cadru didactic la Facultatea de Biologie, Universitatea din București, scop educațional de reamintire a studenților, de a le reaminti despre plante uitate, cânepă, și așa mai departe, și plante textile, cu drag pentru aceste plante, pentru a le studia și reaminti.
De la Vlad, vreau să construiesc o casă din aceste materiale personale.
Mihnăinescu, profesor de geografie, foarte interesat de construcții din hempcrete și în general de materiale noi. Sper să fie o zi interesantă și să avem niște concluzii bune.
Bună ziua, Horia Petran, cercetător la Institutul Național de Cercetare Dezvoltare Urban Incerc și coordonez clusterul pentru promovarea clădirilor cu consum de energie aproape egal cu zero. Evident, interesat cum putem să producem clădiri cu emisii zero, cu performanță energetică foarte ridicată, utilizând materiale naturale.
Bună ziua, Andreea Stoian, Universitatea Națională de Arte din București. Am venit fiind interesată de materiale alternative cu care pot să lucrez împreună cu studenții. Personal am lucrat cu miceliu de ciuperci în lucrarea doctorală și sunt în continuare interesată de orice alt material alternativ la cele poluante.
Bună ziua, Ciprian Șipoș și lucrez cu cânepa în construcții de 18 ani.
Ioan Puiu, sunt vicepreședinte al clusterului Caneparo, sunt conferențiar la Facultatea de Agricultură din USV Iași și proprietar al unei ferme în care cultivăm cânepă industrială.
Salut, Andrei, arhitect interesat de subiect.
Luca, foarte interesat de subiect.
Ana Preda, jurnalist, televiziunea publică, dar în același timp activist Otopen Verde, interesat de poluare, de fapt combaterea poluării prin soluții bazate pe natură și în mod special materiale și tehnologii care poluează mai puțin.
Bună ziua, Ioana Iancu, sunt pasionată de materiale naturale și sunt interesată în subiect.
Bună ziua, Robert Gomboș, fac o comunitate de români la nivel global și sunt interesat de tot felul de proiecte cu impact pozitiv în societate.
Bună ziua, Lucian Veresceag, din sectorul 6. Avem un proiect cu finanțare internațională unde trebuie să găsim materiale bio. Am venit să studiez piața, să căutăm soluții tehnice pentru acea reabilitare termică.
Raul Bopin, interesat de subiect.
Bună ziua, George Scripcariu. Sunt bunica mea din partea tatălui, avea o livadă imensă în Bucovina și în acea livadă era o zonă foarte mare unde cultiva cânepă din moși strămoși. Deci erau plante de peste 3 metri, îmi aduc aminte și acum. Deci e o tradiție din familie care cred că trebuie perpetuată și reînviată la nivelul țării.
Mulțumesc.
Bună ziua, scuze, eram afară, vorbeam la telefon. Irina Cosma, Ministerul Dezvoltării, Lucrărilor Publice și Administrației. Suntem foarte interesați, mai ales că Direcția Urbanism și Construcții se ocupă și de regenerare urbană și eficiență energetică și în același timp reprezint și area prioritară 3 din cadrul strategiei Dunării, care se ocupă de cultură, turism, contacte dintre oameni, dar suntem foarte interesați de acest domeniu de bioeconomie. Mulțumesc mult!
Mulțumesc! Și mai avem pe cineva aici care nu s-a prezentat și cred că e important.
Bună dimineața, Adrian Curaj sunt. Pălăria de astăzi este în legătură cu agenția care finanțează știința și inovarea în România. Sunt curios să vă aud, mă interesează subiectul și poate cine știe găsim moduri de finanțare interesante pentru ceea ce inovați.
Mulțumesc! Am vrut să facem acest tur de audiență pentru că de fapt, asta este și valoarea extraordinară a acestei plante. Este această, să zic, diversitate de domenii și de industrii până la urmă. Am găsit o statistică în care se spune că cânepa se regăsește în 17.000 de diverse tipuri de produse în industrii foarte diferite. Vorbim de la industria de food, medicală, construcții, biocompozit, industria de mașini, textil, tot ce înseamnă înlocuirea lemnului cu compozit de cânepă ecologic și până la servicii de mediu, adică absorție de carbon, bioremedierea pământului. Deci este o plantă pe care noi am pierdut-o, să zic așa, deși Asociația Caneparo este membră în clusterul european și o să avem un reprezentant, nu? Puțin mai târziu, în 5 minute. Asta a vrut să spun Otilia, că trebuie să termin mai repede. Dar ce este important este că la toate aceste întâlniri internaționale în care am început să fim și noi prezenți ca reprezentare a României, toată lumea când aude că ești din România zice, wow, păi zice, voi aveți acolo cea mai tare cânepă textilă din lume. Și noi nu prea mai avem, de vreo 30 de ani am pierdut fibra asta, dar faptul că avem o astfel de reputație, pe noi ne-a motivat să încercăm să adunăm rândurile, pentru că în acest cluster avem și cele două institute de cercetare agricole care au dezvoltat soiuri dedicate, care au făcut faima industriei textile românești. Avem universități, avem antreprenori, companii care încet încep să se miște și acesta este lucru pentru care am continuat și continuăm și sunt convins că avem un potențial extraordinar pe care îl vom reuși să-l repornim. Iar întâlnirea de astăzi se leagă destul de mult de noua strategie aprobată în noiembrie la Bruxelles, strategie europeană pe bioeconomie, în care cânepa are un capitol special dedicat. Și atunci ne-am propus să începem anul pornind de la, să zic, de la niște repere la nivel european și ăsta este motivul pentru care vom debuta conferința cu niște reprezentanți din mai multe țări europene care fiecare au văzut sau construiesc în țara lor strategii naționale. Astfel încât în partea a doua la masa rotundă sper să pornim acest demers cu cei care suntem aici și încet, încet să putem transforma această inițiativă într-un produs care într-adevăr legislativ și de suport. Otilia, te rog.
Bună ziua! Cum a spus și Doru, structura zilei de astăzi conține următoarea oră cu 4 prezentări ale unor invitați din Asociația Europeană de Cânepă Industrială, Francesco, care este deja așteaptă să intre. Clusterul Caneparo este membru în această asociație deja de 3-4 ani de zile și suntem conectați practic prin această asociație la toate cunoștințele și informațiile referitoare la dezvoltarea acestui sector nu doar în Europa, dar și în lume, pentru că Asociația Europeană este conectată la asociațiile internaționale. polul francez de cânepă industrială, care are o dezvoltare fulminantă în ultimii câțiva ani. Au pornit de la câteva mii de hectare, cât ar fi fost și în România în același timp în ultimii ani, și au ajuns deja la peste 20.000 de hectare cultivate, cu dezvoltarea industriei în mai multe sectoare, după cum vom asculta. Vom avea programul național polonez de cânepă industrială, care de asemenea cunoaște o dezvoltare și o viteză cu politici dedicate, și nu în ultimul rând vom asculta perspectiva unui reprezentant olandez care are experiență în toată Europa și în special în domeniul de construcții. Ne dorim ca această oră să fie inspirațională pentru toată lumea de aici și în special pentru masa rotundă care urmează, unde ne dorim împreună să punem cap la cap ce am putea noi, ce am putea să propunem ca să dezvoltăm o strategie de bioeconomie prin cânepă industrială în România. Aceasta este ziua de astăzi și o să vedem acum cum începem cu Francesco Miriții, președintele Asociației Europene.
So good morning, everyone. Just tell me if something's not working. I'm gonna share my screen and present. So I try to grasp what you were mentioning before, and just before I start, I would like to praise the work done by Ottilia and Caneparo. It's very important to have a cluster that works on developing the value chain. Hemp is a very special sector. We have basically not to start from scratch, but to bring back some a crop that was quite widespread 50 to 100 years ago. So it is very important that we have structures that help the value chain setting up. I understood that you also mentioned the Polish hemp program, and I would encourage very much the Romanian authorities to think about something similar, because the involvement of the public authorities is essential for developing the value chain. And it is now the time of my presentation, and probably, I'm sorry, I'll introduce myself. I'm Francesco Miriții. I'm Managing Director of the European Industrial Hemp Association. I was probably the main task that we as trade associations are representing the sector towards the European institutions. Our first role is to show how hemp can be a resource for the future of our economies. So a few words about EIA. We're based in Brussels. We represent farmers, processors, and traders, and our members are companies, national associations, clusters, universities from all over Europe and beyond. Our aim is to, again, demonstrate that hemp can be a commodity at a European level that could help the of new business opportunities, and we try to do so by setting a clear legislation. So it's important to work at European level to make sure that the rules encourage the production of hemp and do not restrict it. Of course, we try to the best of our capability to attract investments. So to talk in a corporate way as a sector to investors, to other sector, to show what hemp is. And of course, to encourage a sustainable and the development of sustainable and local value chains. This is essential. We need to develop hemp everywhere in Europe, leaning on clusters and local communities. We cannot afford to create another sector like maize or like the big crops where we have just intensive farming and international trade of the crop. So this is a bit what we do. So it's a bit between advocacy, communication, regulatory affairs, and also business development. And of course, at the heart of our work, it's the hemp operators. We need to have inputs from the operators to move ahead. Now, I will focus, since this was a request, on the bioeconomy and what we have on the horizon at the European level that could encourage the hemp sector to develop. So first of all, we can see that there is a production increase over the years. So we had at the beginning of the 1990s around 10,000 hectares in Europe, and now we are more than 50,000 hectares, slowly growing with the promise, especially in France, to double the hectares by 2030. There's the biggest hemp cooperative in France that should start their operation of the second line at the end of next year, 27, if I'm not wrong. So on top of that, we are seeing that, as I said, that there are more processing facilities. So we have an increase in the hectares, an increase in the industrial capability. I guess also in Poland, we can expect to have more production, especially of fiber products in the coming years. But I'm sure that Witold will tell you more about that. And I see there's also Estelle. And at the same time, we see that while the offer is slowly increasing, also the demand is increasing. Probably the demand is increasing more than the offer because there's a hype around bio-based products, but still probably the consumer's market is not that stable and requires also a solid supply for the demand to increase further. But all this is, let's say, encompassed by a positive legislative framework. So the legislator at European level and national level understand how a bioeconomy is important for our future, and hemp is a key asset and a key crop. Now, in late November 2025, we saw the new bioeconomy strategy that is very different from the previous one. The previous one was mostly like a white book on what should be done at national level. This time, this is something much more concrete. We achieved collectively as a European association, but also through our members and the lobbying at national European level, a clear mention of hemp. Hemp is explicitly recognized in this strategy as an asset for creation of a bioeconomy in Europe. And on top of that, we finally see concrete measures, so legislative measures and investment measures that are meant to boost the market and the demand and the offer. Now, what is it? What is the hemp bioeconomy strategy? It could be just a word, but actually it's a roadmap to prepare the future of the bioeconomy in Europe. And through boosting investments, mobilizing investments, both private and public, and aiming at strengthening the autonomy of the EU. Now, the measures that are put on the table for the moment are concrete, but are still just outlined by the strategy. So in the coming year, we will see legislative texts that will define what these instruments are. Now, to give you a few examples, when it comes to investment, which is also the big problem of the hemp sector, how do we attract investment so that we can create processing lines? That there should be new tools to de-risk the scaling up of the industrialization. So there should be a development group for investments that will be basically like a group with private entities like big companies and public authorities that will look into how to develop the bioeconomy value chains. Of course, this is not specific to hemp, but hemp is a key crop in the future of bioeconomy, being one of the two or three, let's say, one of the two major fiber crops in Europe. We have three: we have cotton, we have flax, we have hemp. The difference between hemp, flax, and cotton is that hemp could be easily grown everywhere in Europe, while cotton is more adapted to the Spanish and Greek climate. I believe there is also some in Bulgaria. It's probably feasible in Romania, and flax requires very humid environment. So there will be an investment deployment group. There will be a specific fund for the scaling up of bioeconomy solutions, and a clear recognition of what green investments are in the bioeconomy, and changes to what is called the taxonomy, which is a big book with a list of what activities are green and what activities are not green. Now, and this is, I think it's very interesting. As we said, it's about creating a value chain, it's about bringing investments, but also creating markets. But how do you encourage consumers to create market? First of all, and this I will come back on this, public procurement. Public procurement is huge. It's when public authorities buy for their own needs. It could be hospitals, schools, but the administration, the offices, etc. The idea is to give a preference to bio-based products in the rules at European level that set how public procurement should be done. So we expect a revision soon. And this measure is basically a sort of a revolution in public procurement. Until now, it's the price that dictates what public authorities buy, but it should not be the case anymore in the future. Other elements on top of the price will be accounted for, as the sustainability, for example. And second element that I find also very interesting is that the Commission wants to pool big companies that could basically express what they need in terms of products, and they would like to encourage a pooling of these companies up to 30 million euros in 2030. So the idea is to say, guys, who wants to spend collectively 30 million euros on bioeconomy products? What do you need? Let's create a dialogue between those buyers and the bioeconomy sector to see what the bioeconomy sector can provide up to 30 million euros in 2030. And the Commission would also like to loose up a bit the rules for putting on products on the market, bioproducts, to facilitate. So removing barriers means authorizing faster products, could be packaging made out of hemp. Now, if you want to use hemp packaging with food, you have to go through some requirements and tests to prove that hemp is safe. There will be, for example, a revision of the food contact material legislation to make sure that hemp can enter the market in an easier way, and other products, of course. The Commission will also work on harmonized standards, because it's also important to make sure that there are standards for products that will then be put on the market, so you facilitate the trade. And last point, support, either financial or logistical, for industrial clusters, which is basically what you have in Romania, what we need in all countries, people getting together and discuss how to set up the value chain. And they call these industrial symbiosis valleys. I will be happy to come back in a year and give you more details about this, hopefully positive. So as a conclusion of my reflection, I believe that we are experiencing here a moving towards a reindustrialization of Europe. This is, we see in meetings in Brussels with politicians that we recognize that we have to bring back some industrial capacity in Europe, which has fled to Southeastern Asia or like South America, when it gets outside our continent. And this is probably the greatest opportunities that we have to boost hemp production in Europe, and especially hemp processing. But this needs to be done by cooperation. We have to cooperate along the value chain. We need farmers, decorticator, processors, and also consumers, together with the public authorities and universities, to work together. This would just encourage efficiency, because if we are all at the same table, we know what are our needs, and a faster take-up of bioeconomy solutions. So my suggestion would be, let's bring into the equation the national authorities to work on regulatory barriers, if there is any. For example, if you have any problems in Romania with hemp, let's work on that to make sure that it's easier for farmers to process and for processors, for farmers to grow and processors to process. Once again, public procurement. Let's stimulate public procurement. Today, the countries of Europe can set up their own strategy of public procurement. So if Romania decides to boost the bioeconomy solutions in public procurements and give preference, they can do that. And last point, let's rely also on national public universities at national level, because or institutes, but because most of the time they have the knowledge and they can help. As I said before, again, public procurements, can bring huge markets, and we expect a new directive, the directive to be revised. So there will be rules in the coming year, probably 1 year and a half, 2 years, new rules will be adopted. And as EIA, we participated in a coalition called Buy Better to Build Better, BBBB. You can find it online. And it is a group of trade associations like ours. There are the wood sector, other big companies that want to influence the new rules on public procurements so that green products in the construction sector are, let's say, the preferred product. So I hope I stayed in for 10 minutes. That's it. My message will be, let's work together. The more we are, the better we can do. And I would encourage you to come to Poznan in June. We will have our conference together with IWNIRS, so the Polish hemp program, and the National Institute of Natural Fibers that is based in Poznan. It's a great occasion to discover the IWNIRS, who will present it later probably, but they are in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture because they depend on the Ministry of Agriculture. They are working at creating the hemp sector in Poland, or bring back the sector in Poland. Our focus this year will be on bio-based products. We will have 2 sessions on packaging composites, 2 sessions on construction, 2 sessions on textile and non-woven. Of course, also 1 session on food from hemp. And I think it's very interesting because you can also see, we'll have visits on the field to the processing lines, and you will have the occasion to discuss with IWNIRS and Witold and the Hemp Polish program, which has been doing a great job in developing hemp in Poland. Thank you very much, and here for any question you might have.
Thank you very much, Francesco. That was very interesting and very exciting to hear all this news about the European latest developments. I heard about the European groups that are under setting up and going forward with the consumption and the push on the investment side. I just have a couple of questions for you. First of all, would be following up on the European strategy for bioeconomy. Do you think it is possible or feasible to have a sort of national type of groups, or a group for these strategies, where to invite, of course, the national authorities that could have the lead role into such a dialogue? So that would be one question. And another question that I would love to hear from you is related to possible biotech, and what role do you think this biotech could have in the development of the sector? Thank you.
Yeah, so for the first question, definitely the past European bioeconomy strategy actually encouraged the member states to have their own strategy. For example, you have one in France, and you also have an action plan with clear ideas on how to move forward with the bioeconomy. So it would be great if you could also discuss with the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Industry at national level, to see if there is anything going on, because probably there is something, or something has been done. And once again, I would encourage also like a dialogue with other sectors, for example, wood, the farmers. There's probably also a production of biofuels in Romania. So teaming up with other subsectors of the bioeconomy, I think would be great. And for sure, Romania has also the legislative tools to set up their own bioeconomy strategy and action plan, and also work to some extent to rules to boost the bioeconomy. And on the on the biotech, I'm not sure I understood the question. Biotechnology, what type of biotechnologies you're referring?
Yeah, just hold on. So for this national dialogue, do you think it is feasible to have a sort of kind of meetings? So we are doing now here in Romania, and we are hearing from you and the other international guests. But we were thinking to follow up with a sort of conference at European level with authorities where they could learn from each other on various sectors. Do you think that that might be possible?
I think that would be possible, and that would be very interesting. There is also a project at European level that is called the BioEast, and I think it's precisely aims at developing bioeconomy in Eastern Europe. So maybe you should look into that. And there are, of course, occasions to do something in Brussels. There is also, for example, on the development of bioplastics, I hear that there is a will from the Visegrad group to develop, so some Eastern country to develop their own markets and their own solutions. Of course, teaming up would be a great idea, and there are probably many projects that are already encompassing Romania and some other Eastern country to working on that. Yes.
Thank you. So the second question was about biotech, in the sense that we've got already around Europe certain pockets of expertise all spread around Europe. And are we thinking how we were interested about how you see that, if there is any view on putting them together, working on this sort of biotech?
Yeah, so well, biotechnology is quite large, huh? So it could be biorefinery, it could be medical applications. Maybe you can also encompass here the fiber processing also. And indeed, you're very right. In my experience in the 6 years, being 6 years in the hemp sector, is that the universities and the academia is much more advanced than the sector. So there is a lot that has been done everywhere in Europe. Every month I discover new universities working on hemp, for example. What would be very nice, what we try to do as AES, we build a scientific committee to, like, we basically created a network of researchers working on hemp, so at least they know who they are, and we try to connect them whenever there is a need to have a European project, for example, or a national project or an interreg project, so between regions in Europe. There is space for bringing this further, and also there are European funds that could be beneficial to that to some extent. For example, they're called cost actions. Cost actions aim at creating a network of researchers in a field of excellence. So this is something I've also been discussing with some universities. Would be great to have a center of excellence of universities working with hemp. That could be hemp in nutrition, fiber for textile, fiber for composites. We have so many things, guys. Like talking about composites, we have the IWNIRS in Poland, we have the Leibniz Institute in Germany, we have, for textile, we have Ghent universities, we have the textile institutes, private textile institute in France. There is so much that could be done. Nutrition with hemp seeds. I was invited to Scotland for a conference, and there's Aberdeen universities. They've been working on nutritional aspects of hemp seed and hemp seed oil for the past 15 years. And they're discovering things that are like, wow, so much. There's so much that can be done. That's also why we try to encourage the participation of the universities to whatever we do in full transparency, so that they know where the sector is and the sector knows where the universities are.
Thank you very much, Francesco. We are looking forward to see you in Poznan.
Yeah, and hope to see you, many of you there.
Yeah, thank you.
The program will be shared soon. I think it will be like quite a change compared to last year's. It will be much more related to product development, solution setting, the value chain. And again, it's a great occasion to come to Poland and to see Poznan, the facilities, and talk to the program.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you very much, Francesco.
Hi. And I'm here.
Hopefully we have Estelle.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Estelle, you have the floor.
Thank you, Atilia. Hello, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. I've been requested to talk to you a little bit about how we are organized in France. I'll talk to you a very, very little bit about how we organized and how now it goes, and how we finance hemp as well. And I'll also mention my company and what we do and where we stand in this organization. I'm going to share something with you. Am I sharing my screen? So I work for the Hemp European Hub, or Pôle Européen du Chanvre in French. We are a cooperative company. I'm not going to teach you about hemp. I'm sure everybody knows already how useful and future-oriented this plant is. I just wanted to insist on the fact that we use everything in the plant, and that's especially important because that is how the French farmers developed the sector, with this thinking of using a maximum of that plant. And it goes even further than just using the different parts. It means when you work on fiber, for example, identifying enough markets to be able to use the fiber whatever the climatic conditions are, for example. So it's not only just using all the parts, it's also using all the parts whatever the harvest is. Just a few. I won't detail. Sorry, I won't detail the way we grow hemp, but just wanted to come back to the technical differentiating features of hemp. I'm sure this has already been discussed, but that's thanks to these technical different features that we managed to develop the sector. It doesn't work if we only mention the ecological aspects. That's how we will also manage to continue developing hemp. These are the markets that have been developed in France, not from the beginning. At the beginning, hemp was maintained thanks to paper. It's really the paper industry that made hemp survive the general ban on the plant, at least in France. And then with the years, in the 60 past years, all the other markets have been developed with insulation, plastics, and textile, but also the building sector and the food and cosmetics. So that's the diversity that makes the specificity of Europe. And for us, that's something that we need to keep and develop. Basically, to process hemp, the main stage is the first transformation. Sorry about the French slide, but I don't have it in English, this one. And what we have in France is this first transformation step. What we lack, especially in my region, but also in the rest of my country, is the rest of the transformation. And that's why my company was created. We have a lot of farmers. We have almost 2,000 farmers cultivating hemp. We will soon have 7 transformation units. So that's a lot. The 7th will be the second transformation unit of La Chanvrière that Francesco mentioned earlier. And it's a third decorticating line, because they already have 2 in Troyes, and they will have a third one. But then in France, what we lack is the rest of the transformation, because French processors export up to 70% of their raw product, of the products that they transform. So the transformation doesn't take place in our country, and that's one of our problems. I am sorry, I missed the beginning of the conversation, so I don't know if you went through the key figures. Just wanted to mention that, well, Europe is really the second area. And as was already mentioned, in France, we are going to grow more hemp in the 10 coming years. So we have 24,000 in 2024. And this year, we know it will be at least 2,000 or 3,000 more. So it's growing every year a lot. But we are still very far from what we had in the past, because what's in the world today is can be compared to what was just in France in the 19th century. So we have some margin. The organization of the sector in France, we have a national organization that represents the farmers and the processors. And that's a very strong point, because that allows the whole sector to discuss with the state and to make sure that the law go to the right direction, and also that there is money coming into the sector. So that's the organization called Interchambre, and their job is to present the sector to the national state mainly. They represent, as I said earlier, a couple of big processors. The main one is La Chambrière. They represent more than half of the French production. So it's quite an unbalanced sector, because you have one big leader, and then you have a couple of smaller processing units. And the bigger is also the one that is growing the strongest, sorry. And then you have, as you can see, we have, in terms of climate, most of the processing units are in the northern part of France. We are at the moment studying the future of hemp in the south with climate change. It's a little bit more tricky if you don't want to have to irrigate. That's the focus I wanted to make on France, knowing that my organization is not the one that represents farmers. I'm representing a company and not an association. So just to focus on my region, we are based in Troyes, where it's really the center of the main production area of hemp in Europe. So it was 13,000 hectares last year. It should have been 15,000, but we had, some of you probably know, some seeds problem, and it couldn't grow as it should have grown. And what we realized, and what our region, so that's important because I'm going to talk about the public funding, and it took some time to our regional authority to realize what they had on their territory. It took a lot of lobbying to realize that there was not only champagne in Grand Est, but there was hemp as well. And now they know, and it's very useful that they know, because they can support the different projects that we need to implement in order to not only produce and first transform the plant, but also to use it for our citizens and our companies. And that's the challenge that we face now today. That's why I made this little drawing, because we have the circles that represent the production, but then we have the building market, we have the research, we have the textile sector that is very strong in the eastern part of France, and that is suffering a lot today, and that is being revived thanks to natural fibers, including hemp, of course, linen as well. So how do we how does funding for hemp is organized in France? I'll try to be as clear as I can. 50 years ago, there was no public money for hemp, even if we had already a company producing hemp. It was supported like any other crop via the CAP, but that's all. Everything was developed with close to no public funding until the 90s. And it's only in the 90s that other processing units started to pop up, and that the public authorities started to realize that there maybe was something to support there. And I can say that it's been like 5 to 10 years that local and regional funding is, let's say, waking up. Today, you have local and regional funding mainly supporting agricultural transitions, especially with a view to protect the water. So you have water agencies that are putting a lot of money, maybe even too much, I would say. It's not politically correct to say that, but they're putting a lot of money in let's say, clean crops, including hemp. So that's a very good way for small groups of farmers to start developing hemp on their territories. However, if there is no business plan, if there is no market behind, it won't work. And sometimes that's what happens. At regional level, there is some funding for economic development. So at industrial, let's say industrial level, but that's mainly what national and European funding do, supporting the research and development. That is, as Francesco said, happening everywhere. But I completely agree on the fact that at some point, people need to speak to each other, because you have the university working on the same thing in many different places in Europe and already even in my country. And that's good because there's a real emulation. However, I think we lack a bit of efficiency there. And today, the national state in France supports a lot of industrial investment. There were millions of euros invested in the past 2-3 years in new processing units that have demonstrated a strong business plan. Processing units, and that's maybe even more interesting for us, industrial units using in the building sector, in the geotextile sector, for example, the products. But it seems that anyway, the whole plant approach is the key for the economic viability of the sector, at least here. I'll be quick for the rest, and because I can answer questions. Then I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Hemp European Hub. Francesco mentioned cooperation. That's also what we realized we needed to do. So we have created a company that is cooperative. It means that everybody in the company, and it's a 360-degree community. So we have individuals, producers, local authorities, universities, R&D laboratories, industries, small and medium and big companies, and everybody has the same weight in the company, whatever the money they put in it. It's one vote, one person, one vote. So we try to have a very democratic approach and to identify together the key projects that we need to implement to develop hemp in the different sectors. So we go from the agricultural side until the customer. On the farming side, for example, I'm going to just give you an example of what we do. In the agricultural side, for example, we try to improve the technical the technical processes. We try also to train new farmers to this. And we have, at the moment, a new project on as I mentioned earlier, on the impact of climate change on our crops. Because climate change will have probably a positive impact on some markets. If I take the textile and the risks associated to cotton, that's an opportunity. But there's also a risk in terms of quality of the crops. So that's what we're investigating at the moment. We also have a huge textile project gathering, again, the whole sector. I really liked your slide, Francesco, with the cooperation thing. We have the whole sector from the farmers to the last, let's say, the companies that sell the clothes, to basically unlock the different technical issues, and also to ensure that we have the business model to, for example, redevelop a fully French hemp textile industry. Because if the company has left the country, there's probably a reason. So if we want to bring them back, we need to know how to do that so that it's beneficial. We cooperate, we create thematic clubs for exchange and inspiration, which from where all these projects emerge. We train, we raise awareness. We have the chance to have amazing companies in France that are open for visits, etc. So it's a very good way also for international delegations or even French delegations who need to convince their politicians that hemp is amazing. Well, you take them to La Chambrière and the politicians are convinced. Usually it's quite magical, I must say. And we also support for organizing and developing hemp ecosystem. I was mentioning earlier that sometimes a lot of money is invested public money is invested in hemp development, but sometimes the ecosystems are not organized for it. The whole plant approach is not necessarily in the mind of everyone. And we have seen a lot of failures, and we want to avoid failures because it's not good for business. It's not good for anyone when farmers don't get money after their harvest. So that's also part of our work. And end of the year, we'll organize again a World Hemp Forum, where we'll try to gather as many people as possible from as many countries possible to showcase the French ecosystem, and also to discuss the key issues for the future. Thank you for your attention. This I already mentioned. Thank you for your attention. I can answer any question. I think I've been a bit long, so sorry about that if it's the case.
Thank you very much, Estelle. Indeed, we are running a little bit late, but it's extremely interesting to hear what's going on in France, and so inspiring. And well, I can't, well, even though we are a little bit late, I can't stop thinking about how do you see a possible sort of extreme competition among your members of the cooperatives? Is there any need for coordination at your level, or they are just doing fine?
There's definitely a need of coordination. That's my job. But I would say that this is not our main problem. The companies that come to our hub know that the cake can only get bigger, and that the more they work together, the more business they will make. It's not just words, it's reality. And we have seen competitors that have recently, for example, struck deals, basically, because they realized that, well, they had some common interests. So today, it's not so much of a problem for us. It could become one day, and that's part of I didn't mention it, but we have an R&D program on social innovation that helps us work on these issues, because we want to make cooperation in a very business-oriented sector. and we want to show it works and it creates values actually. So that's part of our challenge.
Just another question: the cooperative is being set up on a French law or European cooperative law?
It's a French law. We have European associates. Yeah. Because it's not because they are not French that they cannot be associates. However, yeah, it's quite unique system. It's based on the scheme of the farming cooperative that were created after the Second World War, and now we have cooperative companies that are not dedicated to farming, and that are very interesting when you want to do business but do it in the general interest.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're going now to Witold from Poznan, Poland, to talk about the national program. Thank you, Witold.
Thank you very much for giving me floor. Definitely, it will be difficult to me to fit to 10 minutes, which I have heard I have, but I'll try to be short and to fit to this time. Of course, before I start my presentation, I need to share it to you. Just a second. So, first of all, thank you for inviting me. I'm always open for being part of such events, especially that we are still at the beginning in general. We cannot differentiate better or worse developed countries in general. Is a global, let's say, village when it comes to industrial hemp. So the more we put effort and money behind it for such events, the better result we will have. That's a very important element of activity to promote, to share the knowledge with people. So again, very good idea. And again, thank you for being part of that. So my name is Witold Czeszak. I represent kind of unique entity in this business because I represent a scientific institution which is under Ministry of Agriculture, which is very active in business area as well. I hold couple positions, unfortunately. Unfortunately, because they has only 24 hours. So right now I'm a head of technology transfer department. I'm a head, to be honest, a co-founder and head of Polish hemp program. And since last December, I'm a head of the biggest processing factory in Poland, and I would say this part of Europe. So I'm gonna tell you very short about our activity, about my comments, about our innovations, and about my comments to the market and some possibilities for cooperation. So, okay, but it doesn't work like that. Okay, so let's start from the Institute. Institute has 90 years experience in hemp and flax. We've been doing a lot of R&Ds. We have very experienced staff right now. We have a lot of IPs. Our portfolio is really impressive, which I'm gonna share in some extent later. And what's very important, we have very unique laboratories. I'm always raising this topic because if we are in the niche sector, and unfortunately we still are, the most important part is quality. So I see definitely bigger interest for our services. People who are trying to launch some products on the market related to hemp or flax, they are trying to check at least and then to prove that their products are high quality. Sometimes they use also our logo as kind of promotional aspect, which is fine for us. Okay, so let's jump. Okay, let's stay here again. So Polish Hemp Program. Polish Hemp Program is a part of Institute, is a unique initiative which is focused mainly on commercialization. It was set up in 2018. It's a tool for promoting and commercialization our IPs, mainly our genetics. We right now we are the main player in Poland. Here is a small chart with information from Poland, unfortunately from 2023 and 2024. But my point is to show you that our genetics are leaders. Yeah? First, Henola, second is Finola, it's not ours, and the third one is also our. So it means that we are covering most of the market, and our genetics are the most popular here. Probably you also have seen the acreage, which is not so impressive, but still, even if the numbers are not what we would like to have, they are increasing, definitely. I see a huge, again, a huge interest for sowing seed material from our source in this year, so I believe that the acreage will grow. But even if the acreage is not so impressive, most of the acres are dedicated for, I call it, stable ways of utilizing hemp. So food, cosmetics, and let's say textile construction. So the acreage of hemp plantations focus on CBD or cannabinoids is extremely small, which on this level is good for our activity. Polish hemp program. We have many activities which we can offer to the market. Definitely our core business is production of soy seed material of our genetics. We own the rights 100%. We are active in Poland, of course, and globally. I will show a slide later. So our business model is based on sales, of course, but also at the end of the day on licensing. As I mentioned, I'm a head of technology transfer department. I'm an expert in this area. So licensing means for scientific institution and for the authors or creators or inventors of the IPs, very important aspect. Technology transfer advisory. We do a lot of advisory right now to big players, not only from Poland. They are trying to jump to this sector and they are looking for source of information, which is good for us. That's one of our goal of being present on the market, to share the knowledge, to train people. So next thing, hemp and flax straw processing. That's what I told you at the beginning. I'm also since December head of our factory. It's not the fanciest one, I would say. It's like 50, 60 years old factory, but still effective, very effective. It's not a lab scale production. It's a regular scale production. We do a lot of things. I will show you later the products, but definitely we process straw for fiber, for hairs, then we produce sliver, twines, mats, different things. But what's very important for stakeholders, I would say, first, that we do also services, which is right now very interesting for many companies in Europe which cooperate with us. But what's also very important, that our factory, it's called Lenkon, our factory is a very interesting tool for scientific projects. We can stop production for 2 or 3 days and use our set of machines for project. And again, it's not a lab scale, it's like a normal scale. So you cannot achieve such a partner, I would say a business partner who produce a lot. You cannot, let's say, ask him for stopping the production because of the losses which the company can get. Our company is focused and it's adjusted to such projects. We've done it in the past. We've done it a couple weeks ago even, and we are working on some next projects. Moving services, that's very important part. We can harvest hemp for different type of raw material, starting for panicles, biomass, linear harvesting for specific purposes. Next point is not so important. Then laboratory, which I mentioned about, and R&D projects. That might be a key aspect for your audience in Romania, because I still believe that if we are a niche sector, we need to use public funds for development. And R&D is a very good example, R&D projects, very good example for collaboration between different areas of the market, scientists, business, farmers. And I think that we should go for it, especially that there are a lot of spaces for hemp right now. People, even in Brussels, they are more educated about industrial hemp. They mostly know what we are talking about, and it's much easier to get a grant. So our activity worldwide, when it comes to our sowing seed material, so we are very active. I would say that 90% of our production we export. We are active in North America, South Africa, Australia, almost everywhere. Of course, we are not covering the equator zone because it's not good climate condition and latitude for our genetics, but that's different story. For me, it's a challenge. That's why we are, for example, in the project with guys from Thailand, and we are talking to guys from Colombia and Peru, and we would like to adjust or breed new genetics locally, which can be optimal or effective when it comes to the yield to local conditions. So that's couple photos of our partners. Here on the right up side, you have photos of my partners from Argentina. I've been there a couple weeks ago. So we are very active. We are pioneers there, definitely. We have like 1,000 or 1,500, if I'm correct, hectares of our genetics canola, which gives very good yield of grain. We are very well taken by local government, local universities. I personally was asked by Arikame, it's a local agency for industrial hemp, for being kind of advisor to this group, how to develop, how to create the local market. That's what we do in our factory. I mentioned about that couple times. So that's how it looks like. It's not a big pharma, it's a specific atmosphere there, but it's as I mentioned, it's very effective. We do processing, we produce. You can see in the middle of the slide sliver, which is right now, of course, in general, is dedicated for textile sector, but since last year we see a big interest from a construction sector. So that's very interesting. We produce twine, a lot of things which are still niche, but it's even more exciting to find the off-taker for such niche products. So we also own SPV focused on innovation. It's called Plantinova, and there are some innovations from our portfolio. Of course, genetics. We have genetics tailor-made. One is for grain canola. We are getting 2.5 ton of grain in Poland, not only in Poland, in Spain, for example, 2 tons, in Lithuania, 2.5. And the other varieties are more dedicated for fiber, which is extremely interesting right now, because since last year, I see probably my colleague from France will share my approach. We see a huge demand and huge interest for fiber varieties. So we are scaling up our production rapidly of sowing seed material, but there is still not enough for the market needs. So some of our innovations, we are very active in composites. That's what Francesco mentioned. Thank you for that. So we have the whole value chain when it comes to lab scale or semi-lab scale. From the idea to granulate to end products, we have injection molding, We have 3D printing everything related to that. We've invented a beehive made from hempcrete, which is very interesting. Those of you who's gonna visit us during EIHA, you will see a very interesting presentation of that. Food products, some cosmetics, we can produce also rope from hemp and fishing nets. So that's kind of also niche product, but very interesting. We also do some interesting projects for a practical aspect of growing hemp. Hemp as an intercrop, very interesting thing, and hemp as a source for soil remediation. We've done probably we are only one, or we were only one scientific institution which were financed by EU from Life Plus stream of money from Brussels, and we did project in Poland. It was dedicated for brown coal mining areas. So after 5 years from nothing, from the soil which were let's say useless, after 5 years we can grow their wheat with a little bit less average yield of this wheat, and it can be used for human consumption. So that's very interesting. That's extremely interesting to push this topic. We are doing that. So couple information about Polish market, because that's what I understood from Otilia. Interesting part of your event is to analyze your situation and try to create strategy or give some tips to decision makers, mainly from government. So I think that our market is very well organized. So we have, starting from the above, I would say, from the ministry, we have very good relations with ministry. Ministry of Agriculture is very much focused on hemp and flax, especially from last year, I would say. They are helping us, they are supporting us. So that's very important to convince people in government, in ministries, not only Ministry of Agriculture, that hemp exists, that hemp is a good tool for different problems of economy, bioeconomy, agriculture. So that's definitely interesting. Besides Ministry of Agriculture, we have at least 3 agencies which are focused on hemp cultivation. One is for registration. That's the new, let's say, situation from 2022 when we changed the law regulations. So it's quite simple to register plantation of industrial hemp. And from the other side, we have finally a very transparent and reasonable tool of information about acreage, about varieties, etc., etc. Other agencies focus on subsidies from EU for agriculture. They do randomly test of THC. I believe it's EU regulation, so it's everywhere. And we also have an institution which is dedicated for sowing seed material testing. So that we've done a huge work with them to learn them about hemp, how to grow, etc., etc. And right now we have very good team with these 3 agencies. To be honest, we as the institute, we provide them for free at least 1 or 2 trainee for their co-workers per year to show, to update them how it should go. So that's very important to have such structure. To be honest, last year I've heard from my dear colleague Lorenza, she used to be a director of EIHA, that probably we have the best tools when it comes to this formal organization of the market in Europe, which is good. And I'm gonna, of course, I want to share this if any country would like to get the same situation and get these tools. So grants, my colleagues mentioned, Francesco and Ottila, You mentioned about some possibilities for getting grants. Of course, I mentioned about that. That's very important. You should. I know that Romania is a regular member of EU, so you have a huge stream of money. It's good to let's say focus it on agriculture or R&D or innovation related to hemp. And what I mentioned yesterday, Ottilia, during our call discussion. So I think that Romania has a huge potential when it comes to industrial hemp. I remember that my colleagues from Institute, they used to work with local institutes, your local institutes and companies in the past. And I still think that you have a lot of to offer to the sector. Yeah, you have some very important European companies has branches there. You have very important company focus on food industry. I've just had discussion with guys who do multiplication. So definitely you are not virgin, let's say, territory. You have a lot of to offer. And we need to strengthen that and collaborate. That's definitely the main message of my presentation. Yeah, I mentioned about EU projects. There is one interesting from Visegrad's funds, which we are taking part with colleagues from Hungary, Czech, Slovakia, and Germany. So there are a lot of money for even this, I call them soft projects, not dedicated for investment, but for sharing knowledge. It's very, very important to understand what we offer and then to find the areas for collaboration. So we have certificates. Okay, let's say that's all what I wanted to share in this short period of time. I think that it was at least interesting. And if you have any questions, of course, I'm open to answer. But I definitely would like to invite all of you to visit us in Poland. Of course, EIHA would be a great momentum for doing that. But even in other time, we are very open. We are, let's say, we have kind of open house. We have a lot of visitors from all over the world. So yeah, more or less that's what I wanted to share. So good luck. I think that there is a future. I'm fully convinced that there is a future for hemp, industrial hemp, and there is a big space for Romania. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Witold. Yes, we definitely want to come to visit Poznan, and we also want to invite you here in Romania and to also see our kind of culture, the land cultivated with hemp, and maybe we will have next year on your graph some Romanian seeds, also some Romanian varieties in seeing how they're going, comparing with the others.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So see you soon in Poznan. And
Yeah.
I hope that we will be staying by and planning already your visit here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope Marijn is still here with us.
I am, yes.
Yes, thank you. We are a little bit late, but we are looking forward to hear from your experience, Marijn, that you are absolutely all over the place and with a great experience, and we can't wait to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Ottilia. Also, thank you very much for the invitation. It's an honor to be able to speak here to you and share my experience. I have not prepared a presentation, so I would just give you a small update on the German situation to give you a small insight on how we are moving with hemp here in Germany. And it might be an inspiration for you guys. I'm always open for collaboration and sharing information and context, because I think the only way to get out of this niche and into a commodity market, which hemp is destined to be, we can only work together. You know, we have to combine all these islands that we see all over Europe, in all the countries and all the sectors, and we need to pull at it at one string. because we should not forget we might look big individually, but on the bigger market scale, we are very, 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 very small. And I think the most important thing to realize is if hemp wants to become normalized, we have to give the users of the raw materials, to the ones that are going to make the products out of it, we need to give them choice. We need to give them reliability of sourcing. So that means that companies that work with hemp as a raw material need multiple sources of the same material in order to be able to cope with loss of harvest at one sector, so that there is always a continuous supply of high quality basic raw material. And I think this is something very essential and something that we like to forget in all the pioneering that we do, and my product is better than yours and this and that. But I think we need to level up much more, work together to find ways to be able to supply a standardized raw material for the secondary industries in order for us to really commodify hemp. And this is something that is also in its child's shoes here in Germany. So this is something that we are working also very much. But I can't stress it enough that we are too small to work against each other. We just need to cooperate with each other. Okay, so much for that. Maybe a small introduction into Germany. I myself am a Dutch guy who am living in Germany for more than 10 years now. And I started out in the in the building industry. So that's why I learned to work with the farmers, and I saw the problems that they have. This was the reason that we founded the Cannabis Business Association, because we saw that we don't have a seat on the table in comparison to the alternative projects or the products that we try to substitute. So in order to get forward, you need to be talking to the ones that can actually make the changes. And I think this is one of the biggest achievements that we had in the last couple of years, that we managed to build up such an organization, to bundle a lot of the players in Germany and to show local, but also the national government, that we are an industry that they should take into account, and that we will fight back if we feel that we are being treated unfairly. And I think this opening up, this information flow up to the top is really changing the landscape in Germany. We saw a decriminalization in 2024, where they decided to update the status of smokable cannabis, say THC-rich cannabis. They took it out of the narcotics law and made a separate law for it, increasing its medical accessibility and also the production of medical cannabis in Germany. But they failed to do one very specific thing, and I'm still don't know why. So on one side, they're very progressive on the medical cannabis side, but there's one thing in Germany which makes it unique in comparison with the rest of the world, and that is that in the law it says that if you grow industrial hemp, you have to avoid a use for intoxication. So that means that basically everyone working with industrial hemp could be told, oh no, but your product, if you bake a cookie, if you take enough of that, then somebody might get a high of it if they really do this, that. So it's pretty improbable, but it's a theoretical possibility, and they've been feasting on it in the courts. We've saw farmers getting their lands confiscated because they were selling kids to cookies that want to get high. But this is so far from reality, because they tend to forget that there is a huge black market already supporting them, and it's much cheaper and much more accessible than getting high from industrial hemp. But because it's a theoretical possibility, it's very difficult for, let's say, third parties to invest in hemp, because it's always a possibility that you might get problem with the district attorney saying, no, you have other intentions with it. So this separation from medical cannabis and industrial hemp has not taken place yet in Germany. And it's something that we are fighting very much to achieve, because if we manage to get these two separated, then we can have two completely different discussions. One is just for fun and medical purposes, but the biggest part of the cake, in my opinion, is its potential as an industrial resource. But those things don't have anything to do with each other, you know. And we see in other sectors that this division is pretty clear. So I think we have a good chance of changing this in the years to come, and opening up the landscape for more investment, because the irony of it is that Germany has been investing a lot of subsidies, a lot of research money into high-end uses of hemp, especially in textiles and composites. This has also to do with the big car manufacturing and high technical standard of Germany. So they did a lot of IP, they did a lot of research, but it's being, how do you say it, stopped by its own inability to separate industrial hemp from medical hemp. And in my opinion, this has to do with just failing knowledge at the points where these decisions are being made. And this is something that we as a hemp industry have the obligation to show, where the shoe is not really fitting, where it hurts. And since 2024, something interesting happened in Germany. Until then, hemp or cannabis was just illegal. There was exceptions to grow it as an agricultural crop, but for most, or basically for everyone in federal work or working with government, hemp was a non-topic. You could not speak about it because it's something that's illegal. You know, there were some fans, but everybody kept its profile very low because it was not very good for your career if you were a very big fan of hemp, because hemp was automatically cannabis and cannabis was automatically getting high. So this was the chain of thought that was being connected to it. But in 2024, it got decriminalized, meaning that all these people that before could not speak or handle cannabis, who were in positions that they could actually do something, are now freed up because hemp became something accepted. They saw hemp for what it is. They saw that we need to talk about it anymore. So the paradigm shifted from hemp being not useful at all to something worth talking about, and something that needs clarification, something that needs to be, and they say that, seen for what it is. And especially after Corona, which showed us that global supply chains could fall down very quickly. And then you see that protein or oils or fibers are coming from all over the world. But if these supply chains break down, we still need protein. We still need fiber. So if the soya is not coming from the Americas, we need another source for it. And I think this is slowly starting to form into something concrete. People are realizing we need to take more control of these basic raw material supplies, and they are realizing that it can be done with a plant that has been grown here for hundreds of years, which is basically a local plant, and subsequently giving farmers a extra cash crop, which is also very good in its succession with other crops. So I think slowly now we're seeing that things are starting to fall into place. We're getting friends in the very good places. Not everybody wants to talk about it, but it's moving. And I think this is very essential, because at the same time we see that all this R&D for the last decades is now culminating in the founding of new companies for composites, for textiles, for high-end building materials. And this is giving more fuel to the discussion, like we need to take advantage of this. If we don't do it, then countries like France, who are way ahead of us, will be so far ahead that we can never make them, reach them again. And yeah, so much for that. And I think additionally, we're also seeing that hemp is a crop that can help us with other problems like climate or soil cleaning, etc. How am I at the time?
Yeah. Thank you very much. I mean, I think it is very interesting to hear how legislation can work in either direction to be supportive, but also to be a big barrier. And this is very, very very useful. But I know that you have been involved in some construction sort of projects using hemp, and I was wondering whether you can share with us a few things when something that it went very well, very easy, and maybe some other kind of problems that you have stumbled in.
What do you mean? Like successful building projects or?
Successful buildings. If you worked, for example, with resources from various areas or various countries, or experts coming from different places, if would you say that this sort of a hemp building would be a sort of typical European type of venture? Like where to put together various resources coming from European countries, or is it a very local story?
I think Germany has been inspired a lot by the efforts done in France and Italy. So that so many houses were being built in France and Italy, with also data coming from that it was impossible to deny it anymore. And I think this experience has been used in Germany to convince the local building authorities to accept hemp as a building material. They tried a long time to avoid certifying it, saying we have no idea to compare it with what, it's completely new, we have no data, so if we don't have any data, we don't have any security, so we rather not do it. But then we were able to show them the Italian ones, the French ones. And this changed a lot, and the first projects are now arising. And there's maybe one project that I would like to mention is a renovation of a police headquarters. And it was not intended that they use hemp, but in the end, it turned out for the type of building that they had, which was a very old building, renovating it with hemp was A, the cheapest, and B, the most efficient way of making a house ready for the future. So the choice of using hemp was not because hemp is cool and we want to use hemp no matter what. The choice fell on hemp because it was just the best material to use. So it was a very educated decision, which was not connected to the hype of hemp that we may know, but it was just accepted by everyone in the chain of decision that there was no way around it, and it had to be hemp in this case. So I found that a very interesting example on how hemp, in the end, convinces people by just being hemp and having these qualities. On the other hand, we see still problems to get projects into more social environments, like the big building projects, because certifications are still missing. But it's showing that it's just a different way of certifying projects, which is not being taken into account. So the way that most building agencies look at building materials, natural materials are not part of this. So they all have very strict margins, whereby natural building materials tend to have a bit larger margins in varieties, depending on the quality that you put in. But these are just, laboratory tests, and in the end, it comes down how it works in real world examples. And I think we're now starting to see that real world examples are different than what we see in the lab. And I think this is going to start rolling, and this snowball is going to get bigger and bigger over the years.
Myron, thank you very much. It's been very, very, very interesting. And we hope that we will follow up maybe with a more specific type of training, maybe on construction with you. Thank you so much.
I would like that. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
Ne-am lungit un pic, dar cred că a fost interesant. Se întâmplă lucruri, după cum ați văzut, așa foarte repede. Mă uitam când povestea centrul din Polonia. Noi în 2022, când am creat clusterul, am creat și un centru de producție combinat cu cercetare, exact ce povestea. A fost depus la ADR, a fost prins ca un proiect strategic, după care s-a pierdut pe drum în strategia de dezvoltare. Dar așa, ca un overview, și cu asta luăm o scurtă pauză și după aceea revenim. România are din cele 110, dacă nu mă înșel, soiuri de cânepă acreditate la nivel european. România deține 11 dintre ele. Marea revoluție din Canada după anii 90 în industria cânepii s-a făcut cu soiurile românești. Găsești soiuri în Canada care au pornit de la Daniela, Nicoleta, erau nume de genul ăsta. Cele două institute de cercetare, adică Lovrin și Secuieni, care sunt specializate, Secuieni este pe sămânță, Lovrinul este pe fibră, încă au cercetare, încă fac sămânță pentru care poate fi achiziționată pentru România, dar lanțul ăsta de cerere-ofertă a diminuat foarte mult interesul, deși există încă expertiză în România pe zona asta de cercetare, pe soiuri și pe ce povesteau polonezii. Avem și noi încă vie partea aceasta și expertiza respectivă. Ce e interesant, n-am știut nici eu, Germania. Germania e cea mai avansată în procesare, pentru că ei au băgat în industria de mașini. Probabil că puțină lume știe că tot ce înseamnă căptușală interioară la BMW, Mercedes, Audi, este făcut compozit de cânepă de peste 10 ani de zile. Deci toată industria asta auto, iar cel mai mare procesator din România, compania Hemflax de lângă Sibiu, clientul principal era industria de automotive din Germania, dar curiozitatea este că ei nu au lanțul acolo local, în schimb au foarte mult pe procesare. Deci luăm o pauză, da, 5 minute spre 10, da, și revenim aici.
Bine ați revenit! Numele meu este Ina Dumitriu, fac parte din echipa Node Makerspace și de aproximativ un an de zile, un an și un pic, am început să mă ocup de proiectul Biblioteca de Materiale, proiect care a ajuns să-mi fie foarte drag și care, biblioteca fiind și inițiatorul proiectului Mind Over Matter, ediția Cânepă, proiect care se încheie cu ocazia acestei conferințe. Vă mulțumesc foarte mult că sunteți aici și că ați avut răbdare și energie să rămâneți până în punctul ăsta. Eu am să vă vorbesc un pic despre proiect și despre etapele proiectului. Dar înainte să fac acest lucru, aș vrea să-mi iau un minut să vă povestesc un pic despre conceptul bibliotecii de materiale și cum am ajuns să fiu eu atașată atât de mult de acest concept. Și acest lucru s-a întâmplat deoarece căutam de foarte mult timp un loc unde să pot să-mi satisfac curiozitatea și în același timp să pot să fiu și maker, deoarece una din activitățile mele la Node este să creez lucruri, să fac lucruri. Țin și un curs de CNC și de bitare laser, prin urmare îmi place foarte mult să lucrez cu diferite materiale. Și norocul a făcut că m-am găsit în Barcelona, la o bibliotecă de materiale, unde am avut șansa să interacționez cu cineva care m-a făcut să mă simt ca un copil de 5 ani care pune întrebări de genul de ce de 1000 de ori și de fiecare dată primește răspuns. Lucru care pentru mine a fost o foarte mare bucurie și aș vrea să fac un pic acest exercițiu și cu voi ca să vă arăt mai în detaliu la ce mă refer. Am căutat o serie de fun facts. Am zis pentru prezentarea asta să găsesc așa niște lucruri interesante despre materiale și 3 ore mai târziu mi-am dat seama că dacă nu mă opresc, nu o să reușesc să termin prezentarea. Am ales câteva. Mătasa de paianjen este mai dură decât Kevlarul. Și ce face copilul de 5 ani? De ce? Deoarece mătasa este o fibră proteică care este alcătuită din 2 tipuri de materiale, unul care îi dă rezistență datorită unui componente care se cheamă alanină și unul care îi dă flexibilitate datorită unui element care se cheamă glicină. Ce e aia alanină? Alanina este un aminoacid, deci o proteină care are o structură moleculară foarte simplă, care îi permite să se unească în niște structuri foarte rezistente și acestea îi oferă rezistența crescută a firului de ață de pânză de paianjen. Deci cam acesta este parcursul pe care eu am avut șansa să-l am în acel context și ca să-l aduc și mai aproape de casă, firele de cânepă, care sunt mai rezistente decât bumbacul și devin moi pe măsură ce sunt purtate. Și iarăși de ce? Deoarece fibrele acestea se împart în microfibre care, pe parcurs ce sunt supuse la niște forțe de frecare, ele se rearanjează și devin mai moi, mai structurate. Acestea sunt genul de întrebări pe care eu mi le-am tot pus de-a lungul timpului și acela a fost contextul în care am și început să primesc tot felul de răspunsuri la el și s-a născut marea mea dorință de a mă întoarce aici și de a crea contexte de genul ăsta și pentru alte persoane, deoarece consider că în momentul în care oamenii înțeleg mai bine materialele cu care lucrează, pot să ia și decizii mult mai inteligente în legătură cu materialele pe care le aleg. În același timp, mi-am dorit foarte mult să am și partea asta de manualitate în proiect și aș vrea ca oamenii să înțeleagă și partea mai puțin curată, deoarece în bibliotecă de foarte multe ori interacționăm cu mostre care sunt curate, care sunt frumoase, care sunt stabile și nu spun neapărat povestea demersului din spate în care explorăm, în care uneori eșuăm, un proces care este uneori murdar, uneori zgomotos și mi-aș dori cumva să apropii oamenii și de partea asta, pentru că cu cât o facem mai mult, cu atât ne dăm seama de costul real al unui material, dar ajungem să-l și înțelegem mai bine. Astfel, plecând de la aceste idei, într-o discuție pe care o aveam cu Oana de la Ivan Pațaichin, deoarece noi facem proiecte de mulți ani de zile, într-o discuție la o țigară s-a născut tema acestui proiect, deoarece eu eram foarte interesată de acest material, cânepa, despre care începusem să aud tot felul de lucruri interesante și Oana mi-a zis, dar știi că noi avem, de fapt, o foarte bună istorie și foarte multă experiență cu acest material. Și atunci a zis, bine, trebuie să facem ceva împreună și mă bucur foarte mult că am ajuns să facem. Acum, ca să intrăm un pic în detaliile proiectului, am să vă spun pe scurt care au fost etapele și dacă aveți întrebări, vă aștept să mă întrerupeți fără nicio problemă sau mi le puteți adresa la sfârșit. Eu sunt aici în fiecare zi, uneori și în weekend. Proiectul Mind Over Matter, ediția cânepă, a fost alcătuit din mai multe componente. A avut 2 conferințe, una din ele se desfășoară acum, 3 workshop-uri a câte 3 zile fiecare, 40 de fișe de experiment, o prezență în stradă la Dâmbovița Delivery, 50 de participanți la workshop-uri și 2 module de expoziție. Modulele le puteți vedea în spațiu. Unul se află în stânga mea și unul în dreapta. Știu că ne-am decalat un pic cu timpul, dar dacă o să aveți curiozități în legătură cu el, vă pot răspunde la întrebări după sesiunea de Q&A. Modulele nu pleacă din bibliotecă, deci vor exista aici, deci le puteți vizita și în altă zi dacă vreți și voi fi prezentă să vă răspund la întrebări. Am avut 3 workshop-uri și am vrut ca fiecare workshop să aibă o abordare ușor diferită. Am plecat de la cânepă, de la ideea de cânepă ca material de bază, ca material istoric, după care am vrut să abordăm cânepa într-un context mai experimental și spre sfârșit ne-am dus către biomateriale. În primul workshop am avut marea bucurie să lucrăm cu Vilte, care va vorbi imediat după mine, și am lucrat cu Hempcrit. Ea face niște panouri care izolează fonic folosind o rețetă proprie de materiale și a împărtășit cu noi un pic din experiența ei. A fost un workshop foarte senzorial, foarte interesant pentru că tehnica ei era foarte mult pe feeling. Adică de fiecare dată când ne învăța să pregătim materialul, ne explica păi îl iei în mână și îl simți așa. Și este fix felul în care ne povesteau la un moment dat în facultate, când am avut un proiect cu chirpici, așa ne povesteau și oamenii care ne învățau să facem chirpici. Păi îl freci în mână și îl simți și când îl simți așa, atunci e bine. Deci a fost o experiență foarte, foarte interesantă. Am experimentat cu pigmenți, am experimentat cu diferite forme, am făcut cărămizi pe care le-am și dat foc, cărora le-am și dat foc la un moment dat. Am vrut să vedem care este rezistența lor la flacără, prin urmare am expus 4 minute o cărămidă pe care o puteți vedea în modul expusă arsă. Noi zicem că a rezistat surprinzător de bine. Celălalt workshop a fost o combinație dintre cânepă și plastic reciclat. Am vrut să facem această abordare pentru că aceste două materiale nu pare că au nicio legătură una cu cealaltă, unul cu celălalt, și sunt la capete opuse, dar amândouă sunt o practică oarecum sustenabilă, în sensul că plasticul acesta nu avem ce să facem cu el, el există și atunci, dacă avem o modalitate de a-l recicla, acesta nu poate fi decât un lucru bun. Acesta a fost un workshop abstract, pentru că orice am încercat noi să realizăm nu se putea face neapărat în 3 zile. Prin urmare, am avut foarte multe perioade de ideație în care participanții mai degrabă au stat și au proiectat și și-au imaginat și-au desenat. Iar la sfârșit au început să interacționeze cu cele două materiale și au dat seama de multe ori că ceea ce au pus pe hârtie nu este neapărat ceea ce se poate și face. Dar per total a fost un experiment destul de fun și a acoperit și mai multe domenii. Așa, au fost și oameni care au încercat să facă și obiecte de design și obiecte de modă. Deci a fost un experiment interesant. Al treilea workshop a fost cel cu biomateriale. Și aici am lucrat cu un expert din Barcelona care inventează biomateriale, găsește tot felul de rețete plecând de la materialele de bază, uneori materiale reziduale din locurile unde este chemată să lucreze. Și aici am încercat să plecăm de la 2 tipuri de bindere. Am folosit SCOBY, care este ciuperca pentru kombucha, și alginat. Și folosind acest material care practic leagă orice am pune noi mai departe care să-i dea rezistență, am folosit fibre de cânepă și pusderie pentru a obține diferite tipuri de materiale. Am făcut 20 de mostre care sunt și ele expuse, plecând de la materiale care sunt mai flexibile până la materiale care sunt mai rigide. Foarte interesant la acest workshop a fost abordarea, pentru că dacă cu un material ca hempcrit-ul poți să mergi pe feeling, În momentul în care faci un biomaterial ai nevoie de o rețetă și ai nevoie să respecti cât de cât rețeta sau să-ți dai seama în ce intervale te poți juca, pentru că altfel ai un mare eșec, adică altfel nu obții nimic. Prin urmare, aceasta a fost o abordare mult mai structurată, în care a trebuit să lucrăm cu gramaje clare, în care a trebuit să măsurăm foarte exact și în care intuiția inițială nu se potrivea neapărat cu rezultatul final. Adică față de ce am făcut la primul workshop, asta părea să fie cu totul invers. Am lucrat în echipe, am încurajat foarte mult lucrul în echipă. Noi am vrut să avem un minim de 10 participanți pentru fiecare workshop și am reușit să depășim cu succes la fiecare workshop numărul de participanți. Dar ce ne-a bucurat foarte mult și ne-am și dorit prin proiect a fost să avem o colecție de persoane care sunt și juniori, adică studenți, dar și seniori, și am reușit să obținem un procent cam de jumătate-jumătate. Ceea ce ne bucură foarte mult. Oameni din domenii foarte diferite, de la artă la inginerie. Am avut inclusiv niște studenți dintr-un club, niște elevi, care erau minori, dintr-un club de robotică, care au venit, au zis, vreau să văd cum pot eu să lucrez cu cânepa, ceea ce mi s-a părut foarte interesant. Ca o concluzie și lucruri pe care l-am observat și în momentul în care ne-am dus modulul mobil la Dâmbovița Delivery. Dâmbovița Delivery este evenimentul nostru în care închidem o bucată de splai și ne apropiem mai mult de apă. Avem activități și pe apă și pe uscat, iar anul acesta am reușit să mergem cu modulul mobil acolo ca să vedem cum reacționează oamenii când aud de acest material și plecând de la reacția oamenilor din stradă și după aceste 3 workshop-uri, pot să spun că lumea este foarte interesată de domeniu, este foarte interesată de materiale sustenabile și este foarte mândră să afle că este un material cu tradiție locală. Adică oamenii sunt foarte bucuroși să folosească un material de-al locului, ca să zic așa. Deci ne bucurăm foarte mult și asta nu ne dă decât curaj să încercăm mai departe, să facem tot felul de proiecte în care fie să mergem mai departe cu explorarea cânepii sau cu alte materiale locale. Ne bucurăm enorm de mult de faptul că am avut persoane care să ne susțină, precum AFCN-ul. Acesta este un proiect cofinanțat de AFCN. De Caneparo, vă mulțumim mult, știu că o parte dintre voi sunteți aici, vă mulțumim pentru sprijinul pentru materiale, de Enhud, care au sprijinit biblioteca în ultimul an, așa din umbră, și bineînțeles partenerilor, acum o să le mulțumim noi după aia, dar Oana, care este tot timpul în spatele camerelor, am zis că dacă tot am șansa să prind microfonul, să folosesc acest context ca să și zic mulțumesc tuturor. Pentru că nu avem foarte mult timp, nu o să intru mai mult în detalii, dar după cum v-am zis și înainte, dacă vreți să știți mai multe detalii despre structura workshop-urilor, despre cum am lucrat și despre rezultatele workshop-urilor, eu vă stau la dispoziție. Persoana care a trimis și un mail de confirmare pentru participare sunt eu, deci aveți mailul meu. Și oricând puteți să îmi scrieți, iar Biblioteca de Materiale este aici oricând o să vreți să o vizitați. Vă mulțumesc foarte mult! Și acum ar trebui să intre Vilte, persoană foarte interesantă pe care nu o să vreți să o ratați. Și all good? Eu pot să plec?
Yes, hi.
Vreți să vă spun mai multe despre ce face Vilte? Okay.
Good.
Okay, welcome Vilte. It's nice to have you here. Can you hear us?
Yes, do you hear me?
Hi,
Oh.
welcome.
Hi, good to see you. Good to see you all. Romanian colleagues, nice to see your faces. Let me share the screen. So today I will represent to you a little bit about Lithuanian Hemp Association and our situation in our country, what is going on in this theme. And also we'll talk a bit about projects that I'm creating that are related to bioeconomy and hemp processing. So Lithuanian Hemp Association, KAPVIA, was founded in 2019, and now it's about 20 individual members and 50 business members. Association works a lot with all kinds of other associations in Europe and North America. And I also am a part of association. My hemp farm is this year is 11 year for Kanamama brand, and I focus on CBD oils and tea and CBD cosmetics. But overall, what right now in Lithuania we want to talk more is that the value chain starts with the soil. And industrial hemp effectively restores soil after intensive cereal crop cultivation, for example, like wheat, barley, or rapeseed. And after a long time growing these crops and using chemical farming, soil gets heavy metals and pesticides. And hemp, by growing hemp, we can solve this problem and rejuvenate the soil, and then later use it for construction, for example, the hemp crops. So in Lithuanian Hemp Association, the resolution was that the greatest value is created not in cultivation itself, but in processing, then biocomposites, construction materials, and high value-added products. And to develop a comprehensive hemp business development program, Hemp 2035, aligned with the country's needs to regenerate agriculture and bioeconomy development. And the uses of hemp are very wide, so it's possible to reuse the stems. And we have this one very big and very modern facility. It's called Natural Fiber. It's the only facility we have so far in Lithuania, but we are thinking to, we are opening a new facility that will start in March. It will be a little bit smaller scale, but it's good for smaller farmers and smaller businesses to produce the hemp chips and other biomaterials. And during my work in the Creative Interdisciplinary New European Bauhaus Research Center, I focus, that is in Vilnius Academy of Arts, we focus on how to create circular economy products and zero waste production. So the goal is to reuse hemp sheaf, all parts of it, hemp hurd and bast. So mixing it with other biomaterials, like, for example, putzolans or hydrated lime, or using binding materials like hemp fibers, vermiculite, and other ones. Hempcrete can be created. Also, seaweed alginites are a very interesting biobender. I was doing research about this while I was studying in Iceland, and it's more can be really developed. All the processes when you create biomaterials are being documented, and then the best recipes can become in a bigger scale. Also, as I was already talking, also experiment with natural pigments like red cabbage, birch charcoal, and spices. These are all kinds of samples of small scale experiments that have been made, like a little collection. And then, of course, we were experimenting, doing hempcrete workshop at Makerspace. I believe that it was a very interesting experience for all of us. Actually curious how this collection is are there in a biomaterial library, and I hope to do some more similar projects together in the near future. And this workshop was also like a small scale experiments to understand them, specifically hemp's acoustics properties, and that composites can be used in all kinds of different things like furniture. For example, this is a project I made in Vilnius in 21. This is acoustic partition that is made from different layers of different mixtures and pigments of hempcrete. It was used using render technology, and we also experienced this render technology in a Makerspace workshop in a small scale. Also, acoustic furniture can be done. All kinds of this is a interior, one of the first hempcrete interior in Vilnius, studio in downtown, where all the furniture and walls were made of hemp. This is also a bar counter in a cafe in a downtown of Vilnius. So we can see that some hemp furniture can be already adapted in public spaces. This is some moments of how it was made by layering the pigments in a cast. Also this year, we took hempcrete objects first time in Venice Architectural Biennale, and it was for half year. It was an exhibition in a Lithuanian pavilion. It was really exciting to educate people and bring hemp to Italy, and it was exposition outside and inside as well. And the Hemp Pharma project that I talked about it already when I was first in Romania, but I will briefly go through it again. This Hemp Pharma project, acoustic panel project, this year won the European Bauhaus Prize in a category of shaping a circular industrial ecosystem and promoting lifestyle thinking. When I was writing this project, I was thinking about how this panel goes from like totally zero waste and also creates this circular economy, that people collaborate with farmers, also with industries, then with businesses, and everybody gets a benefits. And the design came from the owl feather kind of inspiration, but it was created as a 3D modular structure based on mechanical engineering data and adapted to algorithmic code that generates the element structure using parametric design methods. So each panel can be done differently according to the need of sound you want to absorb. And of course, before we start to manufacture it, we needed to do some scientific experiments, collaborate with universities. So we did many sound absorption tests and have certificates. Then the framework started, the first experiments, like it was, we took quite a while we had that best recipe already set. And then, of course, future applications. It can be acoustic panels, acoustic desk dividers, multifunctional acoustic partitions, acoustic rooms, acoustic furniture. So this is a sample of an acoustic room. We had exposition in a Resta conference in Vilnius. Also, design can be all kinds of different shapes, not necessarily waves. And overall, hempcrete can be used in wall fill, floor infill, root thermal insulation, plaster finishing, modular bricks. In Lithuania right now, there is this company called Kanapiniai Sprendimai. This summer, they start to restore a lot of old houses by using hemp spray technology that is also economically good price. Also doing wall fillings that the hempcrete can stand also outside as well, and creating bricks. So in Lithuania, so far, our industry is still small, but looking forward that after this new factory open, that we will move further in all kinds of biomass and hemp stem reproduction. So that's a short introduction of what I wanted to tell you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have like a very quick question?
Hello. The binder that you use
Hi.
for material is water permeable vapor? Water vapor.
Let me see if I understood the question. It was about the binder that you used and if it's water permeable. If it's waterproof.
I mean, I use limestone mixing with water, and of course if you keep it outside for long in the rain, it might not last so long, but it's possible to coat it with also like lime how to say this, like a thin layer of lime that also makes the structure more waterproof.
Thank you, Vilte. It was very nice to see you again.
Yes. Nice to see you too. Okay, so I'm...
Bună ziua din nou. Asta e momentul la care se zice regia rog caseta. Eu m-am propus să vă țin cumva încă 7 minute, să vă prezint pe scurt un proiect pe care îl avem în derulare și cu care suntem în contact cu Caneparo, cu Otilia, încă de la început. Este un proiect în care nu trebuie neapărat să rețineți titlul foarte lung. Eu nu sunt Matei Simionov. Matei Simionov este coordonatorul proiectului, însă fiind foarte din scurt o schimbare, am folosit o prezentare pe care am pregătit-o împreună cu el pentru un eveniment anterior. Însă țineți minte, Matei Simionov, Institutul Național Delta Dunării din Tulcea, pentru că cu el puteți să conversați în momentul în care doriți să aflați mai multe lucruri despre proiect, despre activitățile proiectului, dincolo de scurta prezentare pe care vă prezint. În afară de Institutul Național Cercetare Dezvoltare Delta Dunării, care este coordonatorul proiectului, mai este institutul pe care îl reprezint aici, Urban Încerc, Prefectura Tulcea, Standbeis, care este o firmă din Germania, dar o firmă internațională. În cadrul proiectului este unitatea de transfer tehnologic și consultanță în afaceri și tehnologie și Adria Innovation Harbor, care cumva aduce similitudinea cu regiunea pe care o focalizăm, o abordăm în proiect, și anume Delta Dunării, având și ei o mică delta. Nu e un proiect cu ambiție foarte mare, dar e un proiect care dezbate foarte multe lucruri, în care atacăm destul de multe lucruri. Vorbim despre performanța energetică la standarde actuale și standarde de emisii zero. Practic încercăm să contribuim la o înțelegere mai bună și la o tranziție mai eficientă între aproape zero energie și zero emisii. Sunt cele două standarde care sunt în cadrul de reglementare european și în curând și național, dacă vorbim de clădirea cu consum cu emisii zero. Și atunci, una din componente este cea de formare profesională, de perfecționare pentru profesioniști, pentru specialiști, dar și pentru factori de decizie. Dimineața am vorbit despre promovare. Promovare înseamnă o ridicare, o creștere a nivelului de conștientizare, de înțelegere, înseamnă gălăgie. Facem puțină gălăgie și în proiectul ăsta, dar și arătăm. Și ca să arătăm, o parte din ceea ce abordăm, pentru că încercăm să înglobăm în contextul de performanță energetică la standard ridicat, materiale naturale și materiale pe care putem să le găsim într-o anumită regiune, materiale locale. Și atunci o să testăm niște materiale și noi ne-am propus în proiect, când am scris propunerea de proiect, ceva puțin diferit de ce am discutat aici. În momentul în care vrei să dezvolți o piață, cel care produce, care are nevoie, vine să ceară celui care știe cum să dezvolte sau testează. Nu? Noi am făcut invers. Și atunci poate că pe parcursul proiectului reușim împreună cu voi să facem ceea ce este natural. Și atunci, dacă aveți ceva de testat, luați legătura cu noi și o să vedem în ce măsură putem să folosim suportul proiectului pentru a putea lucra în realitate. Și nu în ultimul rând, dacă e vorba de a arăta, show and tell, vizită de studiu împreună cu factorii de decizie. Contextul probabil îl cunoașteți, nu este nou și cred că este în toate publicațiile și în toate materialele de promovare care se ocupă de domeniul ăsta, ca început de justificare. Primele două paragrafe despre asta vorbesc. Ceea ce am făcut până acum nu este foarte mult, e un proiect de 2 ani jumate, mai avem 1 an și ceva din el și ce aveți aici, aveți niște imagini din octombrie, de la Tulcea, un workshop împreună cu factori de decizie, cu profesioniștii locali și cu cei pe care o parte dintre ei au venit, dar pe mulți i-am căutat. Acum poate nici nu știm să-i găsim. Sunt cei care știu cum să fac case tradiționale. Sunt cei care știu cum să ducă sau pot duce mai departe meșteșugurile pe care noi încercăm să le aducem, să le amestecăm cumva cu modernitatea și să vedem cum putem să ajungem la standardele cerute de acum pentru clădiri cu știința pe care am avut-o până acum. Acest workshop a fost făcut a doua zi după un curs de formare profesională de o zi, dar o zi plină în care am avut surpriza plăcută de a avea 25 de decidenți la începutul zilei și 25 de decidenți la sfârșitul zilei. Ceea ce mi s-a părut un lucru ieșit cumva din comunul cu care am fost obișnuiți. Un curs care, mă rog, într-un cadru informal s-a soldat și cu o recunoaștere a unor competențe dobândite în 7 ore, cât a ținut cursul, dar pe lângă acest curs, ce vedeți aici dintr-un proiect trecut, cumva care a fost precursorul proiectului Reborn, dar vom relua în acest an pentru profesioniști. Curs pentru clădiri sustenabile, pentru clădiri cu consum de energie aproape egal cu zero sau, așa cum vedeți în aceste imagini, cursul pentru profesioniști pentru casa pasivă. Curs care este încheiat pentru cei care iau testul cu o certificare a competențelor de data asta la nivel internațional recunoscut. Anul trecut am avut în cadrul unui simpozion anual al Institutului Național Delta Dunării, care în acea zi, mi-aduc aminte, mă duceam spre o benzinărie să alimentez și să mă duc la Tulcea, era inclusiv la Morning Glory. Am avut un schimb de experiență și o discuție despre cum integrăm aceste povești pe care noi le punem pe masă în politicile publice Schimb de experiență pe care vrem să-l facem cel mai probabil tot în Germania. Astea sunt niște poze pe care le-am avut într-o delegație de vreo 25 aproape, în principal din primărie. Acum avem prefectura, probabil s-ar putea să avem mai multe primării din județul Tulcea, în care vrem să discutăm despre ce au făcut alții, să vedem, să punem mâna și să aducem bagajul ăsta acasă, încercând să construim și la noi, nu neapărat să replicăm. Asta de data, față de proiectul anterior, de data aceasta încercând să utilizăm materialele locale. Vrem să facem promovare prin gălăgie, prin demonstrare, dar am început să lucrăm la un ghid de bune practici cu o abordare generală, performanță energetică și materiale, dar cu două direcții pe care vrem să le aprofundăm mai mult, și anume stuful și cânepa. Asta este și contextul în care mă aflu aici prezentând acest proiect. Este un proiect care, prin tehnologiile de construire, prin materialele utilizate, se focalizează într-adevăr pe zona Dobrogea, dar nu neapărat e limitat la această zonă. Și notați-vă adresa de e-mail al lui Matei, pamea, dacă nu știți, hp@incd.ro, și contactați-ne dacă aveți nevoie de ceva. Vreți să aflați mai multe despre proiect, vreți să ne urmăriți, nu trebuie să țineți minte numele proiectului. 2 cuvinte, Reborn, Euchi. Băgați-le în Google și o să dați de noi. Vă mulțumesc frumos!